The broadcast is now starting. All attendees are in listen-only mode.
All right. Welcome, everybody. I hope you're as excited for today's session as I am. This is Josh Shanley. I am the co-founder of Client Alchemist. And you probably got an invite to today's training from me. And you're in the right place if you're looking for information on how you can kill the chaos, quote unquote, with Evernote, how you can overcome information overload and ultimately be a lot more productive in your real estate business. We've got a very special guest here today. His name is Charles Bird, and I will introduce him in a minute. But before we do that, let's take care of some housekeeping items so that we can all ensure that we get the most from our time together. So, housekeeping item number one would be let's remove all distractions. Let's close down as Charles has up on the screen here. Let's turn off Twitter. Let's close down the email client. Close down Facebook and Instagram. All of those other things that may be a distraction to you, and give Charles your undivided attention for, let's say, the next 90 minutes. And if you do that, here's what I am certain of: you will absolutely get the most from our time together if you are able to give him your undivided attention. You're going to get a ton from this. If you're distracted, if you're disjointed, you risk missing the most important thing for you, right? You may miss that one little nugget, that one little thing that is that you may have come here for. Two other things that I'll sort of cover here, and then give Charles a little introduction. Make sure you have a pen and paper handy. I actually have that ready for myself. I'm going to be taking notes. There is definitely going to be a number of real actionable items that you're going to want to take notes. And I've personally found that there's nothing like committing something and creating a connection in your brain, like actually taking handwritten notes. It creates a different level of connection for you. And then Charles has been kind enough, gracious enough to agree to stay on at the end of the presentation and answer all of your questions. And I'm sure there are going to be many, and I know that there will be some great questions that come in. So one thing that I usually do at the very beginning, but if you could let us know, can you see Charles okay? Can you see the screen okay? Can you hear me okay? And when you do that, also let us know where you are listening in from, where you are tuning in from. And I found, for whatever reason, GoToWebinar has a little bit of a delay on the comments when we do these initial intros. But here we go. So Rockville, Maryland, Detroit, right? Detroit, rocking. Ronald, come on, folks. Let's hear from a few more of you, where you're at, where you're listening in from. Lancaster, California. We have a Lancaster, PA, not far from me. Colorado. Where else? We have Las Vegas, Denver. Right on. So it looks like we're good to go. Florida. So I mentioned his name a couple of times already, but I'm going to take a minute or two and introduce our guest. His name is Charles Bird. He is the co-founder and CEO of a company called Bird Word. And Charles was recommended to me by someone that I have a ton of respect for, as someone that can help really just entrepreneurs and professionals of all kinds, but very specifically real estate professionals. I know we have a bunch of agents on, we have some investors, some brokers, and I don't know about you, but the older I get, or the more experienced I become, the more I am looking for how to get more out of the time that I have. What things can I do to simplify, and how can I be more productive? So when this acquaintance of ours, this mutual friend of ours, introduced me to Charles, I knew right away that I had to bring this training to all of you, because especially in the real estate industry, there are so many hats that we wear, so many different things that at tasks that we have to oversee, and contracts and paperwork and this and that and the other thing. that this was a perfect fit to help all of you. And so I immediately scheduled a call with Charles. We spoke, gosh, it's probably 5-6 weeks ago now. We've had to reschedule a couple of times, but I'm extremely excited to have him on. And here's the God's honest truth. Selfishly, I wanted to have him on for me because, as I said, I'm always looking for what and how can I be more productive? How can I simplify my life? How can I better organize myself, both as an entrepreneur, but then also, personally and with our family? What can we do to have more opportunities to do the things that we know and love to do? So Charles is going to really bring the goods here. He specializes in productivity, and he also helps with joint venture partnerships. He does live workshops. He's launched a number of products. He's got a ton of experience, and his courses. This is pretty incredible. This will tell you the kind of reach that Charles has. His courses have reached over 1 million people in just the last few years. Really incredible stuff. Personally, I'll just let you know that he lives near San Francisco by the Napa Vineyards, so you can all be a little jealous of that, myself included. He's married. His wife, his name is Lori. He's got 2 daughters, and as I read here, a Labradoodle puppy, Lucy. So very cool. Very excited to have Charles on. At this point, Charles. I'm going to move to moderator role. I'm going to be taking notes, and then I'll hop back on at the end to help with the Q&A portion and all of that as well.
Awesome. Well, thank you so much, Josh. Just a quick comment. If you bump me to organizer on here, I should be able to see the questions as they come in, unless you're open to fielding them, which I'm happy to do on the way. And we'll do a full deep that. Perfect. So thank you for having me. I'm very passionate about this topic because as a real estate investor myself, I understand how crazy real estate can be with research and paperwork and everything else. So to be able to share some very tactical, tangible tools to simplify your life, it's very rewarding for me to simplify things for you, because I've had to go through the same thing. And so thanks again, Josh, for having me here. And Josh, you're probably recording already, but I figured I'd mention it if you are not. So step 1 in this process, I'll hit record over here actually, unless you are.
Sorry, I was having trouble unmuting. No, we're good. It should have recorded from the word go, but it never hurts to have a backup, because I've already had a number of people asking, will there be a recording? Will there be a replay? Because I had some people that had registered and then had a last minute appointment and so forth. So hopefully that works and we got it from the very get-go.
Perfect. All right. So step 1 in this process, take a deep breath. We want you to have a fully functioning prefrontal cortex as we dive into today's training. What we are going to cover today, we're going to be talking about information domination with Evernote. We'll be covering the big why this topic matters so much for you in your business, your investing, dealing with your clients, or if you're a broker, why it matters to me, why I'm here to share this with you. We'll be going into some very specific use cases for folks in the real estate industry, professionals. And I'll note, everything we learn that will help you professionally will also help you personally. So it's kind of a 2-for-1 there, and we'll give you everything you need to get going with this. So we live in this unique time window where time demands are pulling at us harder than ever. 100 years ago, when they were roaming around on horseback trying to get cell signal, not a lot of push-in notifications going on. Today, we're kind of bombarded. It's amazing on one hand because we have more resources than ever before, but those resources themselves can start to overwhelm us. And I want to show you how to take a few techniques you're going to learn on today's training to simplify everything. When I was growing up, I wanted to be an astronaut, and I had space posters all over my walls, including this one of the great Buzz Aldrin. And it got me thinking, we just hit the 50th anniversary of them doing that. Got me thinking about the computers they used to get to the moon, one of the greatest feats. And basically, those computers were designed in the 50s and 60s. Here's a crazy fact. The computer in your pocket is 120 million times more powerful than the computers that got them to the moon. So we truly are walking around with supercomputers in our pockets, sitting on our desks. And I want to show you how to use them to simplify things, because I think we can all agree that keeping track of everything is, let's just say, a challenge, because we are hit with a barrage of information that comes at us from all directions via email, the web, paper documents, receipts, forms, on the cell, on the phone, at work, and at home. And it is enough to drive you crazy. By the way, if you couldn't tell, I'm getting over a cold, so I'll be cruising through the best I can there. So when you're working in the real estate world, it's one of the most traditionally paper-intensive things you could ever do on the planet. Things, of course, are shifting digital, and that still requires a ton of research, collecting data, researching properties, prices, areas, like different areas you'd be researching real estate, and then going through the whole sales cycle, all the paperwork and inspections. It's pretty wild. And I'm going to share some techniques. I call it information domination to kill the chaos of information overload, both now and ongoing. So imagine you're working out some new deal where you've got a new client you're researching properties for. They call you out of the blue. And imagine being able to put your finger on anything you need in 5 seconds. I call it your 5-second superpower. And this skill set, again, it serves you professionally, it serves you personally. And I'm going to show you how to be more responsive and connected to anything that is interesting or important related to your work. So think how much more effective you will be at running your life and your business with this superpower in your pocket. We'll do a quick survey. How many of you have heard of Evernote? Just let me know in the question box with a yes or a okay. We've got friend. Okay, a bunch of yeses coming in. Wonderful. Here's the next one. How many of you have it installed on your phone or computer right now? Looks like one person here usually uses it for recipes. We've got some no's. Yes on everything. Installed on the tablet. Perfect. How many of you know that you could be making better use of it or plan to use it more? So let me know in the chat there. Excuse me, the question box. All right, perfect. All right, when I'm speaking in front of a live audience, I'll throw in how many of you are completely organized and on top of your lives? Inevitably, 2 people in the back raise their hand, everyone turns and snickers, and we move to the next slide. So when I am speaking with investors, in fact, the very first stage that I got on in San Francisco to teach the content I'm here to help you with, it was a big real estate conference in San Francisco. And you ask how many people have heard of Evernote, it's typically 93% of people. How many people have it? It's usually 75%. And then you ask how many of you have it or plan to use it more? It's 93%. So this is a tool that's been around a long time. Most people have heard of it, but a lot of people aren't using it. And it's really because if you're like me, I heard about Evernote. Everyone said it was amazing. So I ran out and downloaded it. And I'm like, it just makes notes. This is kind of dumb. How does anyone use this? And I just let it sit there collecting virtual pixel dust not serving me because I didn't understand the context of how to apply it to my everyday life or my profession. And so it kind of sat there stagnant for a while until one day I went to my office in the Silicon Valley, and one of the VPs is like, looking forward to your presentation. I'm like, yep, next Tuesday like usual. And he's like, no, we need everything in half an hour. So I went to my office and I'm sweating bullets and my stomach's a big knot because the info I needed to gather for that presentation was in all kinds of different systems and email, SharePoint, different websites. And that was a painful enough moment for me to go, I've got to find a way to capture information and be able to pull it up quickly so I'm never in this situation again. That was the catalyst of actually learning how to use it. And I'm here to share with you the, the tricks that make this actually usable in your life for those of you who either haven't, you're not using it, or even those of you using it to really take it to the next level. Why do I care about this? There's this story I want to tell you about my mom. She ran a hospital in Central California. She was an OB nurse that also taught at College of the Sequoias for OB nurses. And like the real estate industry, that was a very paper-intensive industry. She'd have to go through these state audits. She'd come home with these cardboard office boxes full of clipboards, notebooks, binders, all this research. For those of you who've gone through buying properties, the paperwork, all the loans, the docs, it gets pretty wild. So she'd come home with all these boxes. I basically, I was thinking we can find a better way so you're not lugging boxes in and out of the house every day. So I got her a new computer, put Evernote on there, showed her how to use it, got her a scanner, and the number of boxes started shrinking, and she got very excited, started telling her students about it. It's very liberating to free yourself from paper and be able to find things quickly. So one day I was working on my computer at the Starbucks by my house. I got a call from her, and she had that serious tone in her voice. So I was thinking maybe one of the kids she adopted from Sierra Leone in Africa or South America were having trouble in school. It was not that. She said she'd been in a minor car accident the day before. She thought she was pressing the brake, but wasn't, and bumped into the car in front of her. And then that day, she was physically reaching for a fork at lunch and kept missing it by 6 inches. So that was obviously alarming. They took her to the hospital, found she had 2 stage 4 brain tumors and was going into brain surgery that night. Dropped everything, went down there, as you can imagine. Felt like a truck ran over me and the family, just the intensity of it all. And over the coming days and weeks, her office piled up so high with papers, you couldn't see the desk, couldn't even walk to the desk. And her inbox was so full, no new messages would come in. And I was like, we can't give her good care if we can't find what we need when we need it, and we can't collaborate and share information. So I used the same system I taught her to make that office as pristine as a fresh hotel suite. And I'm telling you this for 2 reasons. One, being able to find what you need in this case gave her better care, but 2, it gave her a much higher quality of life. She lived 1 year to the day from when I got that phone call, and it really lit the fire for me to leave corporate, and instead of training 6,000 enterprise employees at $1 billion software company, now I train hundreds of thousands, of touch the lives of millions of people. So I'm very passionate about this. I want to make you a promise. When you spend a little time on this topic, it creates an upward positive spiral of momentum where you're going to be closing more deals. You're going to have less stress while you do it. And then for the properties you're hanging on to or managing, it will give you just the perfect place to collect information related to anything going on and be able to pull it up instantly. I'm going to show you precisely how to do that on this training. This gives you more control and focus. It lowers your stress because you can find things. I found buying a bunch of properties. I bought 3 houses in one weekend back before the 2008 crash. And I found it to be very stressful, just all the moving parts, and you guys know all about it. But you're also going to learn how to rescue back 3 hours a week of your life with the hands-on skills we're going to cover here. The ability to create, capture, and organize content in Evernote to find what you need in 5 seconds, what I call your 5-second superpower, and the activities and habit formation to be able to do all of this. Today we're going to be talking about how to make notes, notebooks, tags. Charles is a big fan of tags. We're going to be talking about using Evernote on your mobile device. You're out and about, running around, showing houses and doing research online. Show you how to use a web clipper to capture those listings that you're coming across that would be perfect for that new family you're trying to help find a house for. How to search for things and find them immediately, and how to get important emails into Evernote. Okay, so what you're going to leave with the hands-on skills that let you capture important information, whether they're ideas in your head, papers on your desk, information on your screen from a website. This will lower your stress, reduce your anxiety, get you home at a reasonable hour. As mentioned, I wasn't always good at this. This system came from my own pain of being overwhelmed and not being able to find things quickly. So worked in the Silicon Valley for 15 years, left there, started a company helping people with their productivity and systems, lining up joint ventures and sales cycles. And this is really a deep foundational technology that enables all of that. When you're running a bunch of deals and doing research, every one of those requires a lot of research, much less if you're managing several listings at the same time. It can get overwhelming, and I want to give you systems that help you overcome that. So let's jump in. By the way, I'll mention I'd only met that gentleman 10 minutes before he snugly strapped himself behind me like that, which felt a little inappropriate given the duration of our relationship. But when we leaped from the aircraft, all of a sudden I felt pretty good knowing this guy had my back to safely guide me on this adventure and get me to the ground safely. I have your back when it comes to Evernote. I'm an Evernote certified consultant. Evernote's invited me to their campus to do Facebook Lives for their audience. Mind you, they have 230 million accounts. So today we're going to be talking about what I call the power trifecta. This is the combination of tools, workflows, and habits. Because you have the best tool in the world, but if you don't know how to apply it to your life and your business, you don't have Evernote, you have #Nevernote, which doesn't help you very often. Let's say you do know how to use this, but you don't have the habits in place to apply it when it matters, when that important piece of information comes across your desk, like the approved inspection. You're going to need that to move the deal forward and get the loan closed. So being able to gather this stuff and share it in real time is critical. So I'm going to teach you about the habits that need to be in place and the triggers that make this actually quite easy. At its core, Evernote's a very simple tool. It's information in, whether that's from your screen, your head, a piece of paper on your desk, and then getting it out precisely when you need it. And since we all use email, I'll point out for any of you who are newer to Evernote, Evernote has the same layout as an email application. An email application has folders and shortcuts and so forth on the left, your list of messages down the middle, and when you click on one, the content's revealed within. So this is Outlook. If I switch to Evernote here, very similar kind of layout, shortcuts, notes, notebooks, tags, your list of notes down the middle, you click on one, the content is revealed to the right. So there's something I want to share with you that I created called the I dig it, I need it bell. What on earth is that? Well, it's the bell that goes off in your head when you recognize that something's interesting or important or actionable. So let's say you just sent 3 houses to one of your new clients to check out, and they really get excited about one of those particular houses, and they come in asking some new questions, this is going to send off a bell in your head. It sounds like this. When you hear that bell, that's your cue to save that information into Evernote. Let's say you get that approved inspection for the property on Seneca Court. You're going to want to save that so you can find it immediately to share with the relevant parties, the title company, anyone else who's going to need it. So in the real estate world, these bells are going off all the freaking time. Every little gate that you cross to get a deal closer to closing, you need to be able to gather that information and simply access it at a moment's notice when the phone rings. And so again, it's called the I Dig It, I Need a Bell, things that are interesting, important, or actionable. For those of you newer to Evernote, you might wonder, what's this even for? Well, you can write things, you can get them off your mind, you can draft content in there, you can make checklists in there, you can take pictures of property and put them in there, or download those pictures from the web. So A, you can be the source of the information. B, you can collect information from the web, paper documents, receipts, scans of titles, things like that. So you've got your internal world, you've got your external world, all in one world, which is pretty awesome. And whatever your platform of choice, Evernote's on all of them. And if you're, taking a client call while you're in line at Starbucks, come up with a couple tasks for you, you write them down in Evernote, sit down at your shiny Mac. Those are waiting for you because everything syncs between all your devices, which I think is pretty cool. Earning it, the cool cat wearing sunglasses slide. That's just what happens. So if you're new to Evernote, you want to make your first note, you simply click the new note button. A new note is formed like an email would have a subject line. Evernote notes have a title and a body. So let's take a look at what you can do with the text editor. You can change the font size, bold, underline, highlight, make bullet lists, number lists, checklists, which we'll be talking specifically about in a second. You can record conversations with your clients, or if you're at a real estate conference, you can record that. You can bring in photos, files, PDFs. You can record notes to yourself while you're driving and play them back later and go, do I really sound like that? You do, but it's normal for us. So here's another fun fact. For those of us who like handwritten things, you can take handwritten notes in a meeting, snap a picture with your phone using Evernote, and search for words or letters inside of your handwritten notes. Or take a picture of the title and search for words inside of the image. This is unprecedented because if that stuff's stacked up on your desk and you need to find it, good luck. But if you can simply search for a word that's inside of a photograph that you have everywhere you go, your life just got a lot easier. So let's talk about a very simple feature inside of every Evernote note called checklists. So every meeting I jump on, whether with basically a financier or investor, or if I'm talking to a real estate agent, as a habit, anytime I sit down for a meeting with basically anyone, that is my trigger to make a new Evernote note. And I will tag it with your name. I'm about to sneeze. Pardon me. So I'll make a new note because we're sitting down for a meeting. I'll tag it with your name. I'll tag it real estate. Maybe you're a broker, so I'll tag it broker. And if our conversation is about one of my properties in Oklahoma or a new one I'm looking at, I'll tag it as such, Oklahoma investment property. And we'll be covering tags fully in just a second, and this will blow your mind, I think. It should. So anytime there's an action item in the call, let's say you are a broker, and we're talking about the different things that I need to do as an investor. Okay, you got to, call about the loan, check in with the title company. Anytime there's an action, I simply use this little checkbox. So interspersed with my notes, there's action. So at the end of the call, I can glance through and see exactly what the follow-ups are. And if I need to get back to you on Tuesday, every note has a built-in reminder feature. So you can click the little alarm clock with the checkbox, choose a date and a time you'd like that to go off. This note will come right back up. You'll get push-in notifications on your phone and on your computer. So nothing falls through the cracks. To me, the real estate world, going through the purchase process, it feels a little like a roller coaster. It's like things are on point. This is moving ahead. This is closing. Nope, the whole deal's up in the air because of XYZ. So you've got to be very nimble, and being able to find things quickly and not let things fall through the cracks and move the deals forward by checking off the boxes on the way, all the inspections, all of that stuff, is paramount, like just very critical. So by using the check boxes, you're not going to let a task go by without getting done, and using the reminders, you'll be drawn back in and be able to work through any of those for different deals that you're managing for yourself or for your own clients. So if you've been making notes for a little while, you might think perhaps I should organize these, and you would be right. One way to do that is through notebooks. Notebooks are a nice representation of the physical world. Back when we had filing cabinets and folders and sleeves and all of that, we had different notebooks for different subjects in school, for different projects, for different properties. It's a logical way to do it. But I will mention too, it's an old school way to do it. One of the main benefits of using notebooks in Evernote is to securely share things with people, which we'll talk about in a minute. But there's something I like way more than notebooks, and they are tags, tags, tags. Now, why are tags so cool? Glad you asked. By the way, if you've seen a new Mario game in the App Store that came out recently, I'd like to point out we had Mario on our slide 9 months before that. We're ahead of the curve, and we like to pass that along to you. So why are tags so powerful? Well, imagine being able to pull up anything on a specific property. So let's say we're using the address like prefix, like 5424 Trophy Drive. This is one of the properties you're working on, let's say. Imagine searching for that tag and everything about that property comes up. But what if you just want the insurance information for that property? Well, you can just use the first tag, whatever that address I said, Trophy Drive, and then the tag insurance. And you filter from everything about the property to just the insurance for that property and any notes you had with the insurance company. This is kind of unparalleled because you can see the big picture, or you can laser focus down to precisely what you need at any time. And don't get me started how much this can help you around tax time when you've got several properties and you're needing to gather information on those rentals around tax time. This can be wonderful for that. I have 40,000 notes in Evernote, and I can find basically anything I need in 5 seconds. So let's do a tags demo. While I do this tags demo, I'll also compare and contrast that to if you were using notebooks, and I think you're going to get a kick out of this. If there's anything you pay attention to on this training, which I know you're paying attention to everything, but let it be this, because this is I think, as my daughter would say, the bee's knees. So in this tags demo, I am speaking with my realtor Gretchen about a real estate project that happens to be a building project. So phone rings, I'm chatting away with Gretchen here. So I make a new Evernote note. That's the trigger. You've got a meeting. That's your trigger to make the new note. What notebook would I put this note in? I'm talking to Gretchen, so maybe I throw it in a Gretchen notebook. Makes sense. But we're talking real estate, so really it should probably be in a real estate notebook. But it's about the building project in particular. Should it be in that one? Well, this is where notebooks are a limitation because you can only pick one, and then you need to remember which one you put it in. But what if you use tags instead? So here is how easy it is to use tags. People, I remember when I first started playing with tags, they felt kind of nebulous to me, like notebooks I get goes in the real estate notebook. That makes sense to me. But tags felt like they'd float around and I might forget what they should be. So write this down. This is how you make tags as simple as falling off a truck, although I've never fallen off a truck. Basically, all you think about is who, what, where, why. Who, what, where, why. So who am I talking to here? Let me know in the chat question box. Let's see who's awake on the question. Yep, got it. Gretchen, perfect. So I'm going to go to the little tag icon in Evernote here for this note, and I'm going to create that tag out of thin air. I'm just going to type Gretchen. So here I go, I'm typing Gretchen, boom. And then what are we talking about? Well, we're talking about real estate. So I start typing real estate. You'll notice it's auto-populating because that tag already exists. And what about real estate? This is the building project. So why is this so cool? Well, let me explain. If my wife walks in my office and she asks, what's up with the building project? I can go to the tag section of Evernote. You'll notice there's one note under the building project tag. There's one note under the Gretchen tag, and off screen, there's one note under the real estate tag. So if she asks what's going on with the building project, I just go to the building project tag, click it, and this note comes flying up. Or what if Gretchen calls out of the blue? So I pick up the phone, I go to the Gretchen tag, I see every conversation we've had, including this one, or the one where she invited us to the farmer's market, anything related to her. So the magic of using tags is it's like being able to put it in as many notebooks as you want. So you're giving yourself different context hook points to get back to that information based on how it's coming up in the future. Now you don't have to go figure out the one place you put it in. You've given yourself different paths to that information based on the relevancy of it. So I was speaking at an event in Croatia a week before last, and so everything I booked for flights and you know, Airbnbs and so forth, getting to the island that I spoke on, I would tag everything related to that particular event. If it had to do with travel, I would tag it with travel. If it was a flight, I'd tag it flight. So I could pull up everything on the trip, or I just need the flight back from Paris. So I search for the tag flight and the tag Paris, and it comes right up. So it truly liberates you because as information comes in, you know exactly how to capture it, who, what, where, why, and you know exactly how to pull it up later. It's simple, yet profoundly powerful. So Bill has a question about duplicate tag names. So basically, the only times you come up with duplicates are if you spell something wrong, perhaps. So I had a meeting with a big finance guy yesterday, and his last name was Power, and I I initially made the tag with his first name and then Powers. Then when I figured out I spelled it wrong, I just created the correct tag and deleted the other one. So to your example here, more than one Dave, you'd have Dave and their last name. So you probably don't know a ton of people with the exact same name. So it's not a problem that really comes up much. So how many of you feel like this tip is going to be useful for you? Imagine you've got a particular property, an insurance statement comes in, now you tag it based on the property, you tag it based on insurance. So you could pull up anything on insurance for all your properties, or you could pull it up for one particular one by searching for 2 words. Let me know if you think that would be useful. We've got a yes. Ed says yes. Great help. Here's another good question. I'll slip in here. We'll do a full Q&A at the end, but I'll just slip this one in. How does one get text messages, Facebook posts, live chats, webinar video from this one into Evernote? Well, actually, I have some good techniques for all of those. For text messages, I frequently just do a screenshot. You immediately share it directly to Evernote. Same for Facebook posts, just highlight, use the web clipper, save it directly into Evernote and tag it. And for those of you managing client info, I use this in combination with a full CRM sales system that I designed based on putting a few specific tools together. And so this can integrate with CRMs to walk people through sales cycles as well. So there's techniques to get everything like these examples into Evernote, and then they will automatically coalesce around any particular client you're working with through a sales cycle. All right, continuing on. Evernote has a very powerful search. You guys are all Google aficionados. You're searching the real estate databases and Zillow and everything else. But so I find basically whatever I need by searching for 1 to 2 tags, and it's going to come up. And here's where people always say, well, Evernote search is great. Why would I use tags? I can find it with search. Chances are good you can find it with search because search is very powerful, but you'll always find it faster with tags. And I'll give you an example. Let's say you were searching for the word car in Evernote. It will find every car in there, but it will also find carpet, carpe diem, and anything with CAR. So you'll get this big list and you can sift through it. You'll find it. But if you just search for the tag car, you'll only get what you intended to get when you captured it that way. So there's literally no more efficient way on the planet to capture things and pull them up immediately. You can keep search very simple, as in just searching for words. You could search for notes created after July that have PDFs. Let's say you know you have a scanned title or something and forgot to tag it. You can still find it by, if you're like, I know that came in around July, and I know it's a PDF, so you can search for that and you'll find it, and then you tag it when it's in front of you. So search can be very simple, or you can get a lot more advanced if you are in the mood to. So let's search for the word note. Any note with the word note will come up. The words are highlighted, so it's super easy to see it. It's quite powerful. For those of you doing a ton of research on your web browser, which basically means all of you, Evernote has a web clipper tool that basically, this is a plugin that's installed in your browser, Chrome, Safari, Firefox. You install it once, you log into it once, and then it serves you like this. Let's say you're doing research. This happens to be an article on a productivity topic, but it just as easily could be the house down the street from me that's for sale, the listing info and all of that. You have that up in front of you. You want to save it. You simply click the little elephant icon in the web browser, this submenu pops up. You can save the whole web page. You can save just an image. If it was sort of a blog format with annoying ads on the left and the right, you could get just the simplified article, and you can tag it right here too. Beyond that, you can just get screenshots. So again, we tag based on who, what, where, why. Again, this happens to be a productivity article. So productivity, Pomodoro, you could tag it based on the source of where you got it or who wrote it. If this were a listing, you could tag it based on the city, which client you're researching it for, different elements related to what the house has, like it has a pool or whatever, because then later you can filter by those instantly when you are pulling them back up. Not to mention you can share everything you've captured directly with your client straight through Evernote, which is highly useful. So I've captured this website in Evernote. It looks like we're on the website, but we're really in Evernote. Now you can board your flight and you've got everything with you. Other ways to get important information into Evernote, you can email it into Evernote. Basically, you're forwarding it to an email address that you get with your Evernote account. And so if anything related to the real estate process, which a ton of it happens in email, you now can save that info directly out of your email into Evernote. And if you're struggling with paper, which how many of you struggle with paperwork? I know the industry is slowly going digital, but it seems like they were way behind, at least in my personal experience. Jim says lots of paperwork. Yes, me. Okay. So I struggled with paperwork quite a bit. I if you're like me, you had stacks of paper building up on your desk, and then they collapse into each other, so you scoop them off and make little landmines around your floor, and then you walk in your office and wonder what's gone wrong with your life. And basically every one of those paper piles is screaming for your attention, but they're in the way. You don't know exactly what to do with them, and they just suffocate you. So Fujitsu makes the best duplex scanner on the market. I'll give you more info about that. Another way to get information into Evernote is with your phone. You can snap pictures of properties straight on your phone. If you were browsing on your phone, you can save those straight in Evernote and tag them. If you get an attachment with something related to one of your deals, you can save it straight into Evernote from your phone. So it's very streamlined to use the phone as well. And then again, on the phone or the computer or your tablet, you can pull up anything in 5 seconds related to a property. One of my first clients, this guy is a real estate investor. He personally owns 400 single-family homes. He manages portfolios of thousands of homes. And he said, Charles, if you can make me more productive, I'll double my income. And I said, well, game on. That's what I do for a living. So I walked him through a lot of the same stuff I'm walking you through, albeit he paid a lot more for it. And I told him about the scanner. Before the sentence was out of my mouth, he bought it, and he was using it at home. And I found it very hilarious because he would carry the scanner back and forth from his office to his home. So here's this CEO who owns all these properties walking around with a scanner everywhere he goes. That lasted 2 weeks, and then he just bought another one. If anyone's interested in that scanner, I have a forward link that goes to Amazon. It is scanner.killthepapertiger.com, scanner.killthepapertiger.com. And by the way, if you're not struggling with paper, don't spend the money on the scanner. If you're just scanning a few things here or there, use your phone to do it and save the money. If you're drowning in paper and it's choking you, that will fix it. Bonus use for the scanner, I've trained my kids to scan their artwork when they're done. So now I won't lose these precious gems that if you have a kid, you know they make a ton of art. I've got a stack behind me here. Now you don't have to lose those, and you can pull that stuff up immediately too. Again, all these skills help you professionally and personally in equal hefty servings. For those of you working with clients, you know this. It's a saying I did not invent, but I feel like I did. The fortune's in the follow-up. The fortune's in the follow-up. So you go to a real estate conference, you meet all these people. These are people I met in the last 3 months. No one follows up. Like, you'll hand out your card, your phone doesn't ring. Basically, the way to get business is to be the person who follows up. So it's fine to hand out your business card, but make sure to get their contact info and give yourself the breadcrumbs to track them down. If they give you a card, I'm going to show you how to scan that in Evernote right now. If they add you on LinkedIn or just give you their contact, when you go to an event, pre-create a note for different opportunities so you can capture the info and say, met with Sue. She's looking for a 3-bedroom in this location. She added me on LinkedIn. Now you've got a way to follow up when you get home. And guess what? No one else will be following up, so you'll stand out. That's how I've created a ton of business, just by being the person who actually follows up. So let's say they hand you a business card. This is what I do in real time, frequently right in front of them. I will launch Evernote. I will hold the card over hold the phone over the card. The phone will automatically take a picture of it. And you're like, wait, Charles, your iPhone takes pictures? Why didn't you hold a press conference? There's more. Watch, it will OCR the data right off the card. I didn't have to enter anything. Magic. Then it will ask if I'd like to connect with this person on LinkedIn. There's even a setting to have their contact info automatically added to your iPhone contacts. So then you get home or you get back to your hotel room, you start following up. It's a different training than this, but I teach how to relationship build, how to track. This is obviously part of that. How to systematically follow up and put in the time to nurture the client prospects and move them through the sales cycle. So we've covered tools, we've covered workflows. Let's look at habits again. We've actually alluded to this a few times, but you have a cue, a routine, and a reward. The cue triggers a routine. So if a client calls you, that's your cue to start taking notes in Evernote. So you make a new note, tag it with their name, especially if you had a scheduled meeting, it's easy to have this ready to go. And the reward is when they jump on the phone, whether it's out of the blue or scheduled, now you can pull up anything about that client or property immediately, or any specific piece of it. The reward is you have less stress. You're not hunting for this stuff. Wait, that's in Google Docs. That one's in Gmail. I think that title's sitting on my desk somewhere. Like, that nebulous hunting feeling and frustration is gone. And a lot of our frustration comes from that. So the reward is huge in that regard. And so if you have a meeting, make a new note. Someone hands you a card, scan it in Evernote or get their contact info another way, and then set a reminder to follow up with them when it's appropriate. An important email comes in, save it into Evernote. You get in the habit of doing this, it becomes second nature and you're not really thinking about it anymore. So the way I kind of describe this, does this apply to me? I've been doing things a certain way for a long time. Change in technology can be scary, or my favorite, I'm neck deep in work. I would have no time to learn a system that saves me 18 working days a year. doesn't stand to reason. I've got, as mentioned, a Labradoodle downstairs, and the dog needs to run or the dog goes crazy. And so I'll frequently take her on my mountain bike, which has clip-in pedals. So your shoe physically connects to the pedals. You get power when you push, and now you get new power when you pull. In fact, you get 40% more power. And how do you get that power? It's by putting on the shoes that connect to the pedals. So by taking 30 seconds to put on the shoes, you go twice as far, and it's basically twice as easy because you get power when you push and power when you pull. That's what learning Evernote and the way I teach people to apply it to their businesses and lives. That's how you get that leverage to make things easier and go further. So a question I ask myself regularly, I invite you to as well, are you getting wiser? Because knowing without action equals not knowing. So you could learn some cool stuff on here, but if you don't do it, you don't get the benefits of it. And if you do it, then magically everything becomes easier for you. And it's not magic, it's because you chose to make it easier for you by taking a completely vetted system and then simply applying it. So we've all had those days, especially in the real estate world, where we're 6 meetings deep. We've been hopping on calls from insurance companies to clients to realtors to brokers, and our blood sugar's dropping. We're trying to write down a few tasks that came up from the last meeting, but then the doorbell rang, and our chest is tight, our shoulders are tight, the deal's up and down like a roller coaster, and we're stressed. We're like, come on, there's got to be a better way to do this. And I want to show you how to kill the chaos of information overload to live life on your own terms instead of being so reactive. Now you're in control. Because life's short. I want you to create space to focus on the big deals that are going to make the difference for you and your family, to create space to leave early because you're on top of things and you got everyone everything they needed instantly by finding it quickly and sharing it, to create space to focus on your business instead of drowning in it, to create a space station for procreation, the infiltration of a new sensation like meditation, the inebriation, the dedication of the productive nation. Need I mention this new dimension? I have your attention. Now here's your mission. Most who try Evernote know that they could be benefiting a lot more from it, but they don't have time to go invent a framework to use it. So they either don't use it, #Nevernote, or they use it for one or two things, but they don't have a great system for recalling things. It ends up just being this dumping ground. No framework is provided. What's unique here is I've developed a system forged from my own pain in the Silicon Valley, running projects with budgets of $5 million. I've used Evernote to run out and buy 3 houses in a weekend. I've used Evernote for starting and launching a business that reaches millions of people a year. I've used Evernote for all kinds of clients, from stay-at-home moms to people approaching billionaires. And this system is road tested. And the cool thing is, one of the very first markets I even brought it to was real estate, because that's where it helped me so much. The real magic are these workflows, so you know how to apply it as you're going through the deals. I have templates fully focused on the real estate close process that I use as well. So this lets you walk through deals in a seamless way. You know exactly what's next, what's done, what's not done. You can make master notes that have every element that needs to be done to get a deal closed, and link to everything that's done on the way with checkboxes, so you can see exactly where you're at in the deal flow. This lets you pull up critical emails immediately. The phone rings, you can pull up anything you need related to the project you're working on. The real power, to me, this is way more than just simply Evernote's cool and saves you time. This is a way of living. This is about designing an easier life. It's surrounding yourselves with systems that make it so you're more focused, you're more on top of it, you can handle a higher workload, and you have lower stress with more free time. It's the difference between hitting snooze an extra 2 or 3 times, kind of multitasking your way through your morning, leaving late, hitting traffic, getting to the client appointment 5 minutes late, winging it, and sure, you pull it off, but perhaps you could do a better job, versus popping out of bed before your alarm goes off, going for that walk or run or doing yoga or whatever it is that centers you and gets you balanced, have a good breakfast, leave on time, miss the traffic, get to the appointment 20 minutes early, order a coffee and a scone, whip open your laptop lid, do some research on the listings. The client comes in, they see that sparkle in your eye, you wow them with what you found that you collected in Evernote and pulled up instantly to present to them. And next thing you know, you got 2 referrals the same day and you leave early. You sleep like a baby because you have systems that support your success in a really turbulent kind of industry. Good or bad days are actually more a reflection of our own choices. And I know that's probably annoying to hear. And of course, there's days that are fully outside of our control, but most days are a reflection of our own choices. Did we go to bed on time and get a good sleep that enables us to get up and go for that run because we feel good, we're not dragging? Now we're sharper, so we're going to work more efficiently, and we've surrounded ourselves with tools that make our job literally 1,000 times easier. Or are we like bumbling and winging it through, bouncing around, getting lumps on our head? I want people looking up to you like, how do you keep closing so many deals so much faster and you seem calm about it? I want your peers coming to you for input. So basically, the real power in the real estate world is being able to put your finger on anything to bridge the gap from where you are to where you want to be, to transform from overload to calm, to simplify, to take action, to feel that satisfaction. I'd like to introduce to you a course I created teaching my exact systems that's swimming in real estate examples, because again, this is the very first market I even took this program to. It's called 0 to 60 with Evernote. It's a digital program that's available immediately. Module 1 is head first into Evernote. It's a lot of the stuff we actually covered right here with video examples to get you up and going. Module 2, getting your stuff into Evernote. Many of you are using it for a few things and may or may not have systems around that. Some of you aren't using it at all. So where do you start? What projects do you have going on right now that would be a perfect fit to start getting the massive benefits of using this tool for? Module 3, the fast track workflows to get up and going very quickly. And module 4, Evernote in the real world, where I literally have full templates related to the real estate purchase process in there. Then I've got a few bonuses for you, including killer collaboration team hacks. I use Evernote to share information with my own clients, with partners, with insurance companies and other people, because you can create either you can securely share perhaps with a client, or you can generate links to particular notes to share them with people whether they use Evernote or not. They just click your link and whatever you're sharing just opens up in a browser for them. So it's quite handy and I use it every single day. And then the paper destroyer, if paper is gobbling up your sanity, you're going to want to check that out. And it focuses in on using the phone to capture information and also the Fujitsu scanner. So that's what the course is. Think for a second what an hour of your time is worth and how much time you spend hunting for things related to these deals, which in my experience, there's a ton of information going back and forth all the time. And it's paramount to be able to gather that and to be able to share it easily. So This course also has what I call the 3 for 3 guarantee. What that means is spend 3 hours in this course. This course is only 3 hours. I know you guys are busy people. When I first was making this course, I thought I was going to make this masterful thing that covered everything in Evernote. And all these CEOs and real estate folks I talked to, they're like, give me the most streamlined version that just gets me the fastest results. So this is a purely 80-20 focused program. Spend 3 hours in the course. You'll save 3 hours a week going forward, guaranteed. I added those up one day. 3 hours a week, then the next week, then the next week, then the next week. Adds up to 144 hours a year, or 18 working days of reclaimed time. 18 working days of reclaimed time from taking and applying the lessons in a 3-hour course. So kind of insane. Whether you're using Evernote already or you're new to it, you're going to get a lot out of this, because of course this course teaches how to use Evernote, but it teaches how to use it in the real world, not just here's physically how the tool works, but how to apply it in your everyday life as you're looking at listings and so forth. So I like this quote. This is the very first Evernote course I've taken that's convinced me of its value. Other courses make it seem cumbersome and inaccessible, but Charles' course has been wildly engaging and useful from the very first video. And this will sound dumb, but it's true. I get unsolicited testimonials all the time where people are saying this changed my life, because it just dials back your stress, and you know how to capture things and find them. And simple things, basically big doors swing on little hinges, and this is one of those situations. Also, I've got a third bonus for you. It's called Planning Your Perfect Today. This is something I use every day. It's a template and a video module to go with it, showing you, you know, when you wake up and you've got all these things bouncing around in your head about the deals you have going on or client leads you have. This gives you an area to get that out of your head, so then you can actually objectively look at it and start prioritizing those. Choose your top 3 goals for that day, set your 25-minute Pomodoro timer, and get to work on those specific items to move the needle in getting these deals pushed forward and closed. And then track your accomplishments along the way. I think the day goes by so fast. So to see all the little wins you're getting on the way and acknowledge those, it builds momentum instead of the opposite, where you'd feel like you're taskless, this never-ending wall of stuff. So this is a digital course. It's available immediately. Everything's professionally produced. The main course, like the core course, is a $400 value. Each of the bonuses are valued at $100. Bringing it to a $700 total in value. Josh and I got together. We wanted to come up with something special for you, and so we're offering this at not $500, but $197 for a program that dials down your stress, lets you find what you need in 5 seconds, and saves you 18 working days of reclaimed time to move more deals forward, or just spend some more time with your family or hobbies. So you can get that by going to josh.killthechaos.pro, josh.killthechaos.pro. I'm going to pop that into the chat box for anyone. Oh, look at that. Josh already put it in there. Nice work. So if you guys can click that link and let us know in the question box, confirm that that's working. Sometimes we have DNS problems with our forwarding. So just click it, let it pop up, and then let us know that it's working for you. I'd appreciate that. And so Josh, I wanted to just check in with you as a investor and real estate professional and someone who juggles a busy life and a business. I'd love to get your thoughts on this if you're still on the mic there.
Well, yeah. So like you've described several times me with Evernote. Like I've had it forever. I've gone through different cycles of times where I've kind of used it, but not really well. And like the whole notebook thing, that was like screaming to me as well. So the whole time I'm like thinking of all these different use cases of how I can use this in, the different entrepreneurial ventures I have, and then even like I coach multiple sports and um, uh, just all of the different ways that it could save time, lower my stress level, have me more organized. So I don't know about anybody else, but I will be I'll be taking you up on your special offer as soon as we hang up here, and have it. We'll have it on my short list because as I mentioned at the beginning, the older I get, the more important I realize time is. And how important, like the things that you can do to simplify your business and activities that would then free up more time and allow you to be more productive. Like anything related to that, I'm always interested in and always gets my ears perked. So for me, this is an absolute no-brainer for every single person on here because who doesn't want more time, right?
Yeah, and what's so crazy, the time obviously is super valuable because it's one of those things you can't replace. But what's more valuable to me, and I think you'll find this too, is the stress gets dialed down. You can find whatever you need when you need it, and that's a different kind of feeling to approach any interaction with when you're like, I know what to do with the info. I know how to find the info. Like the time savings, it's almost like a nice bonus. The real
Right.
value is like sanity.
Yeah, no, yeah, I'm with you 100%, 100%. Really good stuff. Really good stuff. It looks like it is working. I had several people clarify that it's working, so that's good stuff. What do you think? Or should we dive into some of these great questions here?
Yeah, I'd love to get into the questions. We'll do some questions. I'll tell you guys another fun story. I'll just mention too, as you're researching deals and you start learning to tag and collect this stuff, you can find it immediately. Then let's say one of your clients wants to move forward on a particular deal. In the course, I teach something called the master note. So if you've got a deal moving ahead, you can make a note in there. I tag it master note. I move it to the shortcuts so you can get to it no matter what, because you're going to be putting time on it over the 30-day close or whatever deal you've got going. Then you can make a checklist of the things that need to happen. You need to get this loan, this inspection, this. You make that list with check boxes, and then as things come in, let's say an inspection comes through, you get that in another note, which you link into the master note. So you end up with this clean checklist of what to do, and you can click to get to anything instantly. And it's so liberating. So I don't think I can convey enough how meaningful this is to the work you guys do every day. And so I'm excited for you. I built this for you. I'm also an investor. I get it. I'm an entrepreneur. I'm a parent. All of the things many of you are. And this is the foundation of the whole system. Hey, there you are. So let's indeed jump in on camera, and excuse me, on questions. And I do invite you guys, pop over to josh.killthechaos.pro, snap this up, a 30-day return window as well, which we really don't get a lot of returns because people love this, but just so you can buy it with confidence, prove it to yourself. You have absolutely nothing to lose, and you have 18 working days per year going forward to gain, not to mention the stress reduction. So yeah, let's get to some of these questions.
Yeah, so let's see here. Is there a Facebook mastermind group, or we have no, I hope I'm not overstepping here, but I did take a peek at the order form, and it does look like maybe that is something that is included.
Yeah, that we've got a Facebook group called Kill the Chaos, and we've got 2,000 plus productivity enthusiasts in there that Yeah, that is included.
So as if you need another reason to take action, that is also included, and you can verify when you go to the URL. It's right on there for you. Let's see here. For project, is there any way to do to set up like reminders of deadlines? Jeffrey asked.
Certainly. So again, built into Evernote, you can set reminders on different notes. For many of us running complex businesses, we use more than one tool. Evernote can handle this just directly if you want to keep things simple. If you're working with a team or you have other people you're delegating tasks to, I use this in concert with a formal task manager. With my team, we use Asana.
Yeah.
So the answer is yes, you can do it in Evernote with reminders. Or if you are using a formal task manager, I use those in concert, meaning I will put the task in my task manager where you can prioritize and assign and all of that. But then it links back to the Evernote note that spawned the task to start with. So it gives you a lot more context to everything you're doing.
Right on. Okay. Um, this person says, "Am I dreaming? I've used Evernote, just overwhelmed with too much data. Is there a way to tie in like a visual mind map kind of interface?" I think he's looking for like. Hmm.
All right. Well,
Yeah.
although that's obviously a tad bit beyond the scope of this training, I'm also a mind map nerd, and I use a few different ones, but one in particular is called the Brain. For anyone who's not into mind maps, you don't need to run off and research this since this is an Evernote training, but the Brain is a dynamic mind map tool that takes links so you can link stuff back to Evernote. I have seen one tool that does create a mind map out of Evernote notes. I just didn't find it useful and wouldn't recommend it to anybody.
Yeah. Okay. I'm handling due diligence on large portfolios of industrial properties, currently using Excel for tracking tasks. What kind of setup with Evernote could replace or help with that? I also have other team members who are involved. Is there a way to collaborate with them through Evernote as well?
Okay, so for a bigger operation like that, I would certainly use Evernote as the information repository. And for team, I would use something like Asana or Trello. And I teach and use those tools in concert together. So again, I dig it, I need it, Bell. It's something interesting, important, or actionable. And in my world, actionable goes to a task manager. Anything interesting or important goes into Evernote. And so again, I use these in concert with each other. If you wanted to dig deeper into this kind of in a more one-on-one capacity, I do this all the time. Help create workflows for teams between some of these core tools like Evernote, Asana, Slack, those kind of things, and even CRM integration if you're moving people through sales cycles. Now, this might be way more advanced than a lot of people came to hear about, but if you have a need that way, you can email me, charles@birdword.com, BYRDWORD, and I take on private clients all the time for this very thing. But yeah, so that's that.
So, do you have a process to organize old notes? I have 4 years of notes that are just in folders.
Okay, so here's my advice there. So a lot of people they go through this training we just did, and then they almost start feeling bad that they didn't do it this way to start with, which would of course be nice. But I still say they've got an advantage over everyone else because they do have all this information already collected, and Evernote search is so powerful. So here's how I would think of it. And module 2 helps you walk through this balance because you got to figure out what you want to do going forward and what stuff from the past matters to you. And so going forward, you can start operating the way you've learned here, and it will start paying dividends very quickly. For older stuff, here's how I would go about it. For one, I wouldn't worry about it too much, but you could start scrolling through some of these older notes. Let's say you come across a bank statement, for example. And you're like, wait, I probably have a bunch of these in here. So look for something that bank statement that's native to that bank statement, like your account number. Do a search for that. All the bank statements come up. You highlight them all at once and tag them all at once. Bank B of A checking statement. And then that way you can pick off the big things that matter you want to be able to find quickly. For a lot of the random stuff, who cares? You'll still be able to find it with search if you really need it, and you can improve the whole workflow going forward.
Great. Good stuff. Let's see here. Bill says Evernote file size copied and synced to hard drive, question mark. Limited phone storage an issue for video and audio, question mark. I'm not sure if you are able to.
Yeah, I got it. Okay, so file size limit is 200 megabytes per note. That's not going to come up very often for you. If you are dealing with some massive picture or video files, I'm an advocate of using the right tool for the job. So if you have some big files, use something like Dropbox, and then I take the links from Dropbox, put them in Evernote, and tag it whatever it is, so I can still find it immediately, and it takes me right to what that is. As far as you've snuck in a few questions at once. Nice work. Basically, the question of where are my files? So if you're on a Mac or PC, the file, everything's local, meaning if you didn't have internet, you'd still have everything. It's just sitting on your hard drive. It also syncs up to Evernote servers. It's using 256-bit encryption. That's the same level of encryption your bank uses for your financial information. All of Evernote's data centers are in the United States and secure data facilities. That information syncs to your phone. If you're tight on space, that's no problem. Your phone, by default, accesses most of the information just over the internet, your Wi-Fi or cellular. If you're a traveler like me and I'm in a plane every couple of weeks or a different country, I want all my notes local. So you can go in and manually set it to download everything so you can get to it when you're on a flight. If space is an issue for you, which you indicated it is, it's not going to be an issue because it by default gets it from the cloud.
Gotcha. Can tags be merged?
Can tags be merged? Yes. I mean, what you would do is search for both tags that you would like merged. And then basically you can search for those tags, highlight everything, either edit one of the tags to be what you want and then delete the other, or make a new tag. But certainly, yes. And you can do things in bulk. So it's super easy to do that.
You touched on this a little bit, but there's some additional things in here. But how does one get text messages, Facebook posts, live chats, webinar video, etc. into Evernote? And that's, I mean, I'm sure the ways vary depending on.
Yeah, the ways vary. So let's go through some of the top ones. I use Facebook Messenger a lot in my business. So I will, if you have Facebook up and then you have the little silly chat window, you can go to Messenger and it will open it up on full screen. Then I simply highlight the text from the conversation, use Web Clipper, tag it based on that person. And in my case, not only does that go into Evernote, it's going into my CRM that's pulling in info from Evernote. So for text messages, I simply take a screenshot or highlight and copy. If I do a screenshot, which is just pressing two buttons on your phone, then you can save it straight into Evernote. So if I were to take a screenshot of this, I touch it, and I can save it straight into Evernote immediately. And so that's a good way to do it. Again, in my case, not only is it going into Evernote, it's going into my CRM.
Love it. Love it. I've noticed on the mobile app that you can only pick tags that are made, not just add one. Do you know anything about that?
So that's not exactly accurate. What I believe you're conveying is if you use the share button and share to Evernote, then you can only pick from existing tags. And I find that whole menu to be somewhat not amazing because I have hundreds or thousands of tags. So it is a little cumbersome there. But the fact is, I'll just tag it that way from an existing tag. If I wanted to make a new tag, I'll just share something to Evernote from whatever app I'm in. Usually it's from like a news website feed or something. And then I'll just go to the Evernote app. So let's use this picture, for example. If I touch Evernote, which I did, I can tag it with this drop down list. But let's say I wanted to make a new tag. No problem. I can just save it to Evernote. Now it's going to Evernote. I'm just opening this. So you go into Evernote, that note will be at the very top. You just touch it, and then you can create tags because you're in Evernote. In Evernote, you touch the I for information. I can add a tag or search for any existing tag. So if I know I want to either add a tag or add a bunch of tags and I don't want to scroll up and down through that initial share list, this is how I would do it.
Right on. A couple of folks, I just wanted to point out that there is a PayPal option. So you can pay with a credit card or PayPal, because there was a couple of questions related to payment options. So on the order form there, you can choose either or. Super, super simple as far as that concerned. What web clipping tool do you use?
Okay, so on the Mac, I use the web clipper that's made by Evernote. It's, again, a plugin that's installed on your browser. So whatever browser you're using, frequently it's installed automatically when you do install Evernote. But if it didn't happen to be there, which you can tell real easily because at the top of the browser, you'll see a little elephant icon there, or you won't. If you don't see one, just search for, like, maybe you're using Chrome. So search for the word web clipper, and it will come up. It recognizes you have Chrome. You can install the web clipper, log into your Evernote account. You just have to log in the one time, and then it's there. And on mobile, it's not actually the web clipper. It's really the sharing. It's really the share button. It's the little rectangle with an up arrow
Mhm.
where you could share to any app that accepts shared content. But Evernote will be on that list. So you can, it's not really a web clipper, it's the share feature on your iOS device. But on the Mac or PC, it's the web clipper tool made by Evernote.
How do you drive events and their dates into Evernote? I'm not sure what they like.
How do you drive events and their dates in Evernote? Um, well, basically, you'd have a note. Like, I'm not exactly sure what you mean by that, but I have a whole itinerary of trips I have coming up. And so I made a table. So I have this master note for travel, and it's on my shortcut list, so I can get to it instantly. And then I made a table with all these trips and the dates. They're sequential. Um, Evernote itself doesn't really have any type of calendar integration, which I think that's what you were alluding
Well,
to.
they added from a CRM, for example. That was, I think, from the same person.
Oh, okay. Let's see. More information. How do you drive events and their dates into Evernote for a CRM? So I use a CRM that's not made by Evernote or anything, but it integrates. So that CRM is pulling in from calendar, from Gmail. It could pull in from Exchange. It can pull in from Evernote, from OneNote, from social media sites, and so forth. So that tool is just pulling it straight in from my Google Calendar, along with any Evernote notes related to it. Again, if any of you are interested in kind of higher level one-on-one consulting regarding a deeper stack, if you're running a pretty up and coming business, I do that. That wasn't the intention of this training, but it seems a lot of these questions are at a higher caliber.
Yeah. Okay. Can you add a completion time to a checklist item in order to create a work plan? Kind of talked about that, but
In Evernote, basically, you can have your checkbox and then the reminder to go off. So you can use Evernote as a task manager, but if you're running a ton of real tasks, I always recommend using a real task manager. So these work in parallel.
Mhm.
Um, I'm a fan of Todoist. I'm a fan of Asana. I've been using Things on the Mac. So depending on your purpose, if you're using it with a team, I highly recommend Asana or Trello. If you're using it personally, that opens up some of the tools you could use
Yeah.
that don't require being able to assign things to people.
Yeah. Let's see here. Can you have an assistant or transaction coordinator add content, tag, etc., without them seeing all other content and folders? I guess like limited access.
Yeah, so two ways to do that. One, if you're using an Evernote Premium account and they have an Evernote Premium account, you can share a notebook so they only see what's in that notebook together. If you're doing it like I do in my business with my team, I have an Evernote business account. Then I'm the admin. I choose who has access to which notebooks, which workspaces, and also if they leave the company in the future, all that data is on my own Evernote, so I retain it, which is good from an IP perspective.
Yeah.
So the way you control access in Evernote is through the notebooks and workspaces.
Very cool. Very cool. I think we've addressed the vast majority of the questions. I will say if we missed a question, something that you just, you've got to know before taking action and taking Charles up on his special offer, feel free to email me and I can try do my best to get you the answer. If you haven't already done so, I highly recommend you check out killthechaos.pro. Josh.killthechaos.pro. The link is also in the chat as well. You should be able to click it right in there. It seems to be working fine. It came up fine on my browser. You can enroll with PayPal or a credit card, and you get instant access. So you can literally take action right now. As we wrap up, and go through the course in as Charles said, in just a couple hours time. I really appreciate that. That's another thing. Like the older I get, the more I want to cut out the fluff. Like just give me the good stuff and let me get rolling. So I really appreciate the fact that that's the approach you've taken with this. Like, hey, this is the 20% that'll give you 80%, or even the 5% that'll give you 90%, because a lot of times that's what the ratio comes down to. So I really
Yeah,
appreciate that.
I want to make one other point. For any of you who are working with clients, what will your life be like if you close one more deal this year?
Yeah.
One. I mean, this enables you to manage more.
Yep.
This will sound stupid, but it's true. This easily could cost 10 grand. I know for an Evernote course that sounds silly, but the benefit is insane. I can't even convey that enough because it empowers you to manage more with less mental overhead. And that's imagine if you close 2 extra deals this year. This will be the biggest slam dunk investment you could really make.
100%. And the angle I would take on that, or the way I would look at that, is either consciously or unconsciously. If you're unorganized and overwhelmed, you are not you're going to do something to keep you from getting more of that, right? Like you're gonna either consciously or subconsciously, like, do things to lose business because you know that it's just going to create more chaos and overwhelm. Whereas if you can proactively address that, your brain, your mind, your energy, it can then be directed towards more of the higher dollar producing activity in your business and your life. And so, like, yeah, man, that really just got me even more fired up, because I know I consider myself a little bit unusual in my ability to kind of push through and work through stuff. But I know that like there are times where I've got piles of stuff here and stuff, and I know that is keeping me from doing more land deals, from doing more whatever. So that,
Yeah, what I find is if you have a workflow that's just things are ticking, you can work longer. You just keep going, and let's say it's toward the end of the day and your energy is a little lower. This is 1,000% true for me. If something pops up and it's like a pain in the ass, I'm more likely to just get up and leave. But if I've got a workflow and things are clicking and it's just working, you just get more done because it's easier. We we tend to, maybe not you, Josh, tend to, it's easier to walk away if there's something annoying or a barrier. But if things are just smooth, you just keep going.
right, there's
Like
less
you've got
friction, less
momentum.
things to slow you down. Yeah, I love it. I love it. So go to check it out, josh.killthechaos.pro. Charles, thank you so much for taking a huge chunk out of your day to share this information with our community. I can't thank you enough for that. I hope everyone else got as much value and got as excited about this idea of creating more time and creating more systems and being more efficient and effective as I did. And I can't wait to hear from the folks that get enrolled and then their stories about how this has improved their business, their life in general. So awesome stuff. Can't thank you enough.
Oh, my pleasure, my pleasure. And so I do highly recommend pop over to josh.killthechaos.pro. And some of you did have some higher level team business questions. If you want to explore custom solutions for your business, we could talk about that too. You can email charles@birdword.com, BYRDWORD. It wasn't the intention of this training, but clearly you've got some high level folks, Josh. Who may need some deeper solutions. Evernote's always the foundation. Well, thanks so much for having me. This has been fun.
Thank you. We'll get the replay out as quickly as possible later tonight or tomorrow to all the attendees. And as I said, if you have any additional questions, reach out to me. I'll get you connected with Charles. And can't wait to hear how everybody uses this system and implements it into their business.
Sweet.
Awesome. Thanks, Charles.
All right. Thank you, Josh. Have a good day.
You too.